Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Thursday Night Sports Zone. It's the last edition of the semester. I'm your host, Jake Levine. I'm joined by Jalen Bullock and Kendall Keaton. We are going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks for the very first time on this show this semester. So quite a treat for you guys. They have played in back-to-back days. They lost to the Pelicans by 21 points. Then they beat the Wizards 130 to 117. We're going to be talking about this team as a whole, though. They are 9-3 on the season so far. Terrific start for these guys. And what's been going right for this team? Was this expected? Kendall, what are your thoughts?
It wasn't expected for me, but I'm very excited for them. Of course, I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. The depth of the Mavericks looks really great. Luka and Kyrie are playing very dominant. Tim Hardaway has a very consistent game right now. Grant Williams, he's a very unselfish player, so we love to see that. And then Derek Lively, he does what he needs to do in the paint.
Jalen, what do you think?
So starting off with Luka, he's having the past couple of years have been MVP caliber seasons. I feel like this year is going to be his year. Currently averaging 37 and 8, third in scoring, fifth in assists. You have Kyrie, who's averaging 22 and 6, coming back to his vintage self. Tim Hardaway Jr. has started to develop more into a J.R. Smith type of player. Plays very well off the ball. Isn't really involved in the offense directly, but when he gets the ball, he does a lot of ISO. Movements, and he's averaging 18, off to a great start. And then, of course, Lively, a phenomenal rookie.
That kid Lively. You mentioned vintage Kyrie. I'm going to touch on vintage Kyrie again because he and Luka have been quite the duo, and Luka's been dominant for a few years now. Kyrie looks like the old Kyrie from the Cavaliers. And so let's say Kyrie remains this effective player on this team. He's, an all-star caliber guy. What is the impact that he brings to this team as a veteran presence, but also an elite scorer again, Jalen?
As you touched on, when Kyrie plays, there's not many players that are better than him. Luka is in that upper echelon of a player, and we have two really ball-dominant players, but they work in different ways, which works well because they are so different. Luka is a type of player who could back down his defenders. We saw earlier against the Grizzlies. They try to get bigger guys on him like Desmond Bane and Xavier Tillman to try to stop the back down. What did he do instead? Step back three, step back three, step back three. And when you have two totally different ball-dominant players, there's not really many options defensively that you can do to stop that.
Kendall, what do you think about Kyrie's presence on this team?
His presence is great, and it honestly makes them way more dangerous than they already are, really. Kyrie and Luka, I feel like, have finally figured out each other, so they're playing really well together, as well as Tim Hardaway, as I mentioned. Grant, very unselfish player. He knows what he needs to do. Same with Derek Lively. I really think he's able to do what he needs to do because a lot of attention is on Luka and Kyrie, so he's able to get into the paint, rebound,
Yeah, let's talk about Derek Lively. He was the draft pick this year, first-round guy. And it's very refreshing for Mavs fans to see a big man in the middle that can dominate. Dwight Powell, productive player over the past few years, but Derek Lively is really the future, it looks like, to protect the paint for this team. So how satisfying is it as a Mavs fan, Kendall, as a Mavs fan, how satisfying is it to see a big man come onto your team and be able to dominate in the paint like that?
It's very satisfying. I feel like we've been looking, he's what we've been looking for since Luka has arrived. And so, now that he's here, now that we have someone that's better than Powell, I think we can finally execute. He knows his role as well. He's a team player. He goes out there, needs what he needs to do, and he gets the job done. So I'm excited.
Jalen.
Derek Lively is not a player who's going to jump out the box on the stat sheet. Averages 9 and 7 in a block, but he does the little things that go a long way. He's the type of player that you want as a fan of a team and as the coach of a team. And he's just a big presence, of course, 7'1", 230 in the paint, just does great things.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so the Mavs obviously have had this hot start, but we are only 12 games into the season. And, you can jump to conclusions, this or that. So I want to ask you guys, do we think this is a fluke? Do we think this Mavs team is for real? Can they really end up being the beast of the Western Conference? Jalen, do you think this Mavs team is real?
I feel like they are the real deal. I wouldn't pick them over the Nuggets just yet, but I feel like right now they have things clicking, and I don't see them slowing down. Of course, you have to account for injuries. That's a big thing, that happens in the league. And, of course, teams like to rest players. Kyrie, as we've seen in the past, he has a history of resting for long periods of time, so we'll sort of see what happens with that.
Kendall, the Mavs the real deal?
Yes, they're the real deal. It's not a fluke. They're legit this season. I'm excited to see what they do for the rest of the season. the front office did what they need to do, honestly, really. And then Kyrie and Luka, they understand each other, so they play really well on the court. And Kyrie's been playing off the ball well, so we all know they figured that out. And it's a good season so far.
Yeah, it's been very dangerous. And real quick before we go, record predictions I want it. Kendall, what's your record prediction?
The dreamer in me wants at least like 61 wins, but realistically, I'm going for 42 to 50 games winning, wise. For sure.
Sticking close to that, I'm going to go mid-50s, low 60s as well, but I'm going to say around 55, 57.
Okay, yeah. Top seed in the East, top seed in the West is looking like. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys at my Carolina Panthers preview, so stay right with us.
Live from UNT, it's Wheel of Culture.
Welcome back to Wheel of Culture. Our contestant is so close to solving this puzzle. But first, it's time to give the wheel a spin. Wow, you landed on London, one of the many places where you and your fellow students can go on a chance to experience new culture. But only if you can solve this puzzle.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Study abroad.
That's correct. You just won yourself a trip to study abroad in London, England, and you can too. Just go to studyabroad.unt.edu to see deadlines and apply for scholarships. Get ready to study abroad.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just loved the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people, because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and want to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Jake Levine. I'm with Gabe Ife and Sydney Johnson. We're going to be talking about some Dallas Cowboys football yet again. They dropped 49 points on the New York Giants. They have dominated them yet again. They are 2-0 against the Giants this year. They're going to be playing the Carolina Panthers in my hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina this upcoming week. But we're going to talk about this Giants game real quick. Gabe, what happened?
It was an absolute beatdown. The Cowboys, they didn't allow a third down conversion all game. Dak, 404 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns in less than 3 quarters. He just did amazing. CeeDee Lamb's making history right now. 3 straight games with at least 150 passing yards. And I think and double-digit catches. He's just going off. The defense was amazing. They just locked down the Giants. Excuse me.
Sydney.
Capitalizing on what Gabe said, CD has definitely, forget man of the hour. He's like the man of the year for the Cowboys this season. He continues to dominate offensively, win or lose. And then Dak Prescott played probably one of the best games of his career so far. Every play that he made was turned into a big one offensively for the team. So I think the Cowboys went out and did exactly what they needed to do against the Giants.
Yeah, definitely. And so they just played the Giants. Now they're going to play the Panthers in Carolina. Also a bad team, but I want to talk about how these teams compare, right? They are both bad teams. But something tells me this game could be closer. I don't know. The Giants are on their third-string quarterback, and it's just been not going well for them. The Panthers have been in games. They just can't win games. What do you guys think about this? Sydney, what do you think? Could this be a closer game?
Given the 2 teams' records so far this season, it could be a trap game. I think the Cowboys are known to kind of not really come through when everybody expects them to. But looking at the 2 matchups of the teams, there's absolutely no reason that the Cowboys shouldn't have this one in the bag. I might disown them as my hometown team if they don't win.
Gabe.
I was kind of, starting to do a little scouting of the Panthers, and the Panthers, unlike the Giants, do have a quarterback. But also like the Giants, they don't have an offensive line.
Right. And their quarterback's also not good. Let's talk about that, too.
Yeah, talking about that, he has no weapons.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders was thought to be one of their bigger running backs. He hasn't done anything. Chuba Hubbard's done a little bit. But when your best players are Adam Thielen and Chuba Hubbard, you don't have any help. That's really just how it is right now.
Jeez,
the leading, I was kind of like comparing stats for the Giants and Panthers, and Kayvon Thibodeau has 8.5, for the Giants. For the Panthers, their leading sack is Brian Burns with only 5.
Yeah.
So their defense isn't better. I really think this is going to be another blowout. I'm sorry to put it that way.
It's
I don't
okay.
think it's going to be close.
Look, I know that we're bad. I've accepted it. We had the one Super Bowl year, and that's it. It's cool. But let's talk about Bryce Young versus Dak Prescott. Two totally different guys. Dak's been in the league for a little while now. Bryce Young, first overall pick. Talk about the quarterback comparisons here. How do these guys stack up against each other, Gabe?
I think it's a really interesting comparison because I think that they're both very talented. I think they both have a lot of skills. Now, Bryce Young's a rookie, so I think it's going to take him a while to get up to Dak's level. And as I was just saying, when your best weapons to use to your advantage are Adam Thielen and Chuba Hubbard, and then the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, and just a number of wide receivers, I really don't think that there's like any equivalent right now to them. I really think that Dak is just on another level.
He is on another level right now. Sydney, talk about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I would have to totally agree with Gabe. I mean, the comparison is a little uneven at this point, just given the Panthers have a rookie and Dak is clearly an experienced professional vet. And also the teams are just in different spaces right now. They're under different types of coaching. They're in different phases of their journey as a team. So I think the comparison is pretty clear, but you never know. I mean, with some more experience, he could get up to Dak's level in time.
Yeah, Bryce Young, he's a young quarterback. He has shown some bright spots, but definitely still working at it. Still working at being a pro. And so you guys obviously think Cowboys are going to win this game. So let's talk about how these 3 games, they just beat the Giants, they're playing the Panthers, they have the Commanders after that. How do you guys think these 3 games can kind of propel them into the playoff picture? I mean, they're kind of in it right now, but the loss to the Eagles kind of put them out of the division, it seems. Gabe, what do you think about these 3 upcoming games?
I think it's really important that they take advantage of these winnable games right now. I think that they have a great shot at moving ahead of Philadelphia. You look at Philadelphia, the Eagles' upcoming schedule, they have to play the Chiefs and 49ers in 2 of the next 3 weeks. It's going to be really tough for them to, get past these next couple of weeks and stay afloat against those teams. And then you go into December 10th matchup against the Cowboys and the Eagles. And if the Cowboys can take advantage right now of their soft schedule, I think that matchup could be really big for them and have huge playoff implications.
I agree. Sydney, talk about the opportunity the Cowboys have.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we kind of are expecting the Cowboys to always win the small games, and then when it comes to the bigger playoff games, they kind of let us down. But I think that if they can just learn from the mistakes and roll with the punches and learn from the last game that they had the previous week and capitalize on that, then they should be okay. Yeah.
I like it. Well, when we come back, we're going to stay on the topic of football as we're going to talk about the American Conference, so don't go anywhere.
No, I've been feeling gross all week.
Maybe we should go get a COVID test.
But I already have all 3 of my shots.
Yeah, but you can still get it. I mean, maybe we should go get one just in case.
Yeah, you're right. We have that party and all that.
Yeah.
Where do we even get tested here?
Let me check.
You can find free COVID testing sites at the University Union, room 381 on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on weekends, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., and at Chestnut Hall, room 120 from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. You have to show the QR code given to you when you arrive for an appointment. Tests take no longer than 10 minutes to complete. Results will be sent through text or email within the next 48 hours.
I got a negative COVID test. Me too. Oh my god, let's go to the party. Yes. Let's go.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I am with Jose Moreno and Adam C. We're going to keep on talking about football. We're going to talk about the American Conference and some UNT football. What a year for the American Conference. You have 3 6-0 teams, Tulane, SMU, UTSA, and Memphis is 5-1. What a year. But for UNT, they're 1-5 this year. So what are the takeaways for North Texas? They're 1-5 in conference, like I said, but any positive takeaways getting to play these opponents, Jose?
You know, our offense is finally competent again. Chandler Rogers has been playing great this season. Eric Morris put a huge focus on our offense this year, and I think we've really done a lot better since the days of Austin Ani when we had to watch an awful product on the field as fans. So I'm really glad with that, big plus. And I mean, again, 1-5 in conference play. It's our first year in this conference. We're still kind of taking our baby steps to victory, and that's going to happen with time. We're going to get better recruits. We're going to get better upgrades for our stadium. Maybe DATCU can, look better than it has since 2013, but I just see a lot of good things coming for us in the future. This is just a great first step for Eagle kind everywhere.
To bounce off of that, I understand, it's pretty demoralizing to feel like we're just getting beat every game.
Well, we are.
Because we want to be better. We want to compete, but the problem is we're not always going to get that. And right now we're facing much better competition. And the way I see it, that'll force us to be better. We'll be able to get better recruits over time to run a better conference. And then maybe we can start looking to compete in about 3 to 4 years and reach that upper echelon of the American Athletic Conference football.
You know what people kind of forget about this city is Dallas is growing in population a lot. We have a lot of people moving here. And I mean, be honest, a lot of people are moving here from California, from New York. They want their kids to play college football nearby. So, hey, you want to spend expensive money at SMU or go get a better education at UNT, you're playing a better conference. I think with that aspect, I do think we're going to be way better in 3 years,
I'd go for it, dude.
And also, think about where we're in Denton, Texas. Denton, Texas is a hot spot for really good recruits. Ryan, Guy, even Braswell to a degree, starting to look really good.
My Magna alma mater, that's the word.
There you go. That's where you went to high school.
They made it high school in North Texas, by the way.
2020 state champs at Ryan. But we can use that and try to really get better. And we're also under Morris, and I think Morris will really help this team get better over time. So just wait a little bit, and I think we got it.
Let's talk about the rest of the conference right quick. It has been an unreal year for the top 4 teams here, even including Memphis at 5-1. So I want some predictions on the conference championship game. Personally, I think SMU can run away with it. I think SMU is better than Tulane, even though they're unranked and Tulane is ranked. I think SMU is the best team in this conference. Adam, what do you think about the conference championship game?
It's really interesting right now because this is probably the most competitive the American has been in a very long time. And realistically, if Tulane goes undefeated and Memphis pulls a mini upset, you could literally see a 3-way tie for second. And then we have to start doing tiebreakers. But realistically, I think SMU could actually pull some upsets. And if they were in the American Athletic versus Tulane, I don't know if I trust Tulane. They have a really spotty second half team.
They do.
I'm about to say UNT could have beat them if it weren't for our defense messing around at the end.
Tulane's been very spotty this year. I mean, they're 9-1, but they've had a lot of shaky wins. UNT, UAB, they've had a
lot like Liberty
down year.
But I feel like those are always trap games. UAB is a huge trap game, and so is UNT. It's a team that everyone kind of comes in and goes, they're not that good. They're always disappointing. We always kind of play up to other teams. And although they have won spotty games, listen, when you have that much hype on your team, you gotta at least win a conference championship.
And they did compete with Ole Miss with a backup quarterback at the beginning of the season. The score might not say that, but it was really close up until the end.
I low-key think Memphis could actually make the upset. That's a team you don't ever want to play in the postseason. They're very terrifying. In any sport.
I was just about to say every sport. Memphis
in every
is
sport,
great.
Memphis is like the quicksand of sports in college.
They are
everyone has a hard time getting past them, and they're mesmerizing.
Yeah, they have an amazing running game, and Seth Hennigan, might not be the most talented quarterback. He's a great game manager, and And I mean, I'm just saying, they tore us apart at our homecoming game. And even though we almost won.
Dude, but like anyone could tear us apart.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, didn't they have like 2 or 3 just 70-yard runs in a row?
Yeah, they did. But you know what? UNT had the lead with 10 seconds left.
Yes, and they lost because, you know what? I'm not gonna get into it.
And so let's talk about Tulane real quick. Let's talk specifically about Tulane. Do we think they could get to a New Year's Six bowl again? Yes or no answer, Jose?
I don't think so. This is like UCF. Like we all thought UCF was like a top 4 in 2017. And look at them now. They suck.
True. They do.
I think that's what's going to
suck,
happen.
yeah.
Tulane's going to go the way of Cincinnati. I don't think they're going to go New Year's Six. I think, they'd be surprised if they get anything better than the Frisco Bowl, which, to be honest, anything's better than the Frisco Bowl at this point.
I mean, personally, I think Tulane could, but they'd have to stop messing around in big games. They can't mess around against SMU, and they won't be able to mess around against UTSA on November 24th. And I also think that the committee's going to be looking at stuff like last year, that they beat USC, and that's, even though this is last year, they will still think about that, and I don't think they're going to give Air Force a New Year's Six spot. James Madison's eligible. They probably don't want to give it to Liberty. So I think Tulane actually has a chance if they can run the table in the conference.
I agree. It's going to be very exciting to see the rest few weeks of the season. When we come back, we're going to talk about some college basketball to end this show, so don't go anywhere.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I am your host, Jake Levine. I'm joined by Matthew Watson and Kinsey Neely. For our final segment of the semester, we're going to be talking about college basketball. It is underway, and boy, is it underway. Whew. We have had some crazy upsets so far, and we're going to talk about our favorite upsets. Kinsey, would you like to go first on this?
I would love to. So my first upset is Michigan State versus James Madison. Michigan State was ranked in the top 5 this year at the beginning of the AP poll, and they failed. They failed this year. They've failed multiple times, twice, but we've only had 3 games. But yeah, 79-76, so it was a pretty close game. But the team was ranked number 4 in the AP poll, and they're already 1-2, and they lost to Duke as well. So it's a really close game, but I just feel like there's a lot more that can be had from the team, and it wasn't done.
I agree with you. To jump off of what you're saying, Tom Izzo, this is likely his last chance to win a national championship, and even then, even compete for a Big Ten championship. So you look at the start that they had against James Madison, it's not looking good. The good thing about college basketball, though, is it's a long, grueling season. So Michigan State could still get back on the horse and still get on their winning ways. It's just not a good start that you don't want to see. Now,
Yeah.
James Madison now, they're ranked now because of that win.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're James Madison, you're like, yeah, we have a good football team, a good basketball program. We're excited.
Yeah, crazy stuff going on for James Madison. I actually also picked this as one of my favorites. It was pretty unreal because Michigan State is this number 4 ranked team in the country, and they've just been very dominant, you know. They were very good in March Madness last year, and then James Madison with the crazy football team and then they have like their soccer team beat the #1 team in the country, and then they just go beat Michigan State on the road first game of the season. Like, are you kidding me? It's incredible. Another one I want to talk about, I don't know if you guys had this one on your sheets, Arizona beating Duke.
I did.
Yeah.
Woo, let's talk
did.
about
That
it.
sure did.
Caleb Love, hello. Pretty cool for him. He goes back into Duke and
I think he's
beats
3-1 against Duke. now.
gosh, and then when he's walking off the court, he's just soaking it all in. What were your guys' thoughts on this upset?
Well, I just thought how you get out-rebounded by a smaller team. Duke is small. Duke is bigger than Arizona.
For sure.
And Arizona out-rebounded them. You have Kyle Flipowski, who's one of the best players in all of NCAA, and he got his shots off. And he got 25, I think, 25 and 7. You're a big dude. You got to have more than 7 rebounds, And you can't just go – like, they didn't shoot well in the second half. Arizona shot 50% over the second half. They came out and they ended the game.
Yeah, and Kashad Johnson, he was a star player for the end of the game, like the second half. Like his total, it wasn't a big score, but his total scoring for that game was 14 points, which isn't bad, but it was the most from the team. But he also got crazy assists, crazy rebound. Like he did an amazing job. So it was great to see. Not only that, but Arizona played all the way to the end. Like Duke was kind of winning towards the beginning. It was kind of a close game, but Arizona played all the way to the end, which is what you have to do in college basketball.
They went on an 11-4 run just in the final minute. Yeah.
And Arizona pretty underrated to start this year too.
Oh,
they're
most
usually
definitely.
ranked much higher, and they go in and beat Duke on the road. I believe they're ranked like 3rd in the country now.
Yeah, they got a lot more respect now.
Boosted. Talk about it. And let's talk about another upset on the other side of college basketball. LSU, after winning the national championship, they just go and lose to 20th ranked Colorado at home. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what?
They even
talk about it.
They even got Haley Van Lilith. She's arguably one of the best players in NCAA. Angel Reese, she didn't perform as well as you thought she would do.
Exactly.
And they didn't play up to the LSU standard. Even the head coach noticed how they were getting out-toughed. Like Colorado was just tougher than LSU for all 4 quarters. And that's what it looked like, and that's what showed up. What did you think? Because I just think LSU was just bullied.
They just came out flat.
Yeah.
LSU, they did decent, but it wasn't the LSU that we saw last year. Like the energy wasn't there, especially coming off a huge win. You would think that they would come in with some big energy, but it was not there. And they in Colorado, they showed up. They showed up, and they're ready to take that win back.
Did you guys have any other upsets that you had that I didn't think of?
I said USC versus UC Irvine.
Oh, that one just happened. That one was crazy.
It was just yesterday, but it was a pretty big upset just because USC, they've been doing pretty good. They won their first 2 games, and then this is their 3rd game, and they lost to a school that is now 3-0, and it was an unranked school. But now they're going to be ranked, and UC has moved up a little bit on the ranks just because Michigan State and Duke have done bad. But you have UC Irvine, and they killed. They did so good, especially the whole entire game, and USC was not able to keep up.
Yeah, they wiped the floor with them. Matthew, real quick, do you have anything you want to shout out?
I just want to say to the college basketball fans, it's early. It's very, very early. All of this matters, yes, in a sense, but all of it doesn't in a sense, because March is madness, and it's known for it, and that's where your money is made. So just hold off if you're mad about the upsets. It's okay.
I have one last thing I want to say too.
Okay.
Last week I said or 2 weeks ago I said Purdue was going to be number 2. They deserve to be number 2, and now they are. So I just want to prove to y'all that I'm doing good, and I predicted it.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to SportsZone. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting this show this semester. Couldn't do it without all these awesome analysts, all 10 of them. And you'll catch us on some other show, maybe SportsZone again. We'll see next semester. Follow us on socials, NTTV_sports. Go watch the news. They're starting in about 5 minutes, and that will do it. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Go Mean Green. I almost forgot.